Hello. So today I've got competing ideas on what I want to talk about, and I'm going to have to show some discipline in keeping the two separate because I recently had a conversation with a friend that alerted me to the fact that my work in defining consciousness is by no means complete. In my mind, I think, well, I've explained how that works. That's good enough. Let's move on to the next thing. But in reality, it's the kind of work that is probably never going to be finished. Not in my lifetime, anyway. So I want to try and illustrate this with a couple of examples. First off, the definition of consciousness is an organic process. This process is going on, let's just give the definition. An organic process, mimetically driven or fueled, leading to this unique, interior, self-aware mind space, individuality. The organic process tells us that this is ongoing. This is happening right now in every individual on the planet. This is something that will happen, will continue to happen as time goes by, regardless of how we treat the subject. It is just a fact of our existence that it is a process that is ongoing. Mimetically driven or fueled. Originally, for Richard Dawkins, who's the discoverer of mimetics, it was described as the cultural equivalent of what we have physically in genes. Meaning that it's a replicator, it is active on this planet, it is fundamental to how things evolve. It is nuanced, both things are nuanced. Now, if the organic process is going to continue, regardless of what you do or think or how you feel about what I'm saying, it's going to continue no matter what. You have some choices. If you can understand that mimetically driven is the societal habits and ideas are what's driving you. You are not using them to drive yourself. You're not using them as fuel. They are controlling you. Those are your two choices. Let me show you some things you have a choice about. And I'm going to use the first example as what I experience in my work here. Originally, I thought that my ideas would be good to just change my individual life. That if I expressed my ideas, I could somehow turn my life from having to use my physical body to burn out my health in order to survive in this world into a life where I could use my mind to perform that same function. But some of the choices that I've been presented with in this work don't really allow that to happen. For one, I feel that if I'm going to choose this work for my side work, for my project, for my life, then I have to do it with a certain code. I have to have specific goals. I have to have guidelines that stop me from falling into these stupid traps that humanity sets for itself. As an example, if I think the work of consciousness is also the work of our Creator, then I can't do that with money or fame or influence being something that drives me, because that way lies televangelists. That way lies people who have tried to control us. See, when I think about making these videos, there are times when I think to myself, how do I make this more persuasive? And every time I get into that situation, red flags start popping off in my mind, because I know that persuasion is akin to manipulation. And I don't feel that somebody who does this work and wants to actually make a difference, a real difference in people's lives, can do that being manipulated by how much money or fame or fortune or whatever the hell it is they can acquire. That is part of my code in doing this work. That is a choice. I see how the world works, how our consciousness works, and I make that choice. Yes, it's self-serving as well, because this is outside of my comfort zone, what I'm doing right now with you. I would much rather be out there working, just thinking deeply and being inspired. That is my happy place. That is what I love about how I have designed this work for my life. This part of it is the dangerous part, the awkward part. We all have certain, or at least should have, certain rules by which our beliefs, structure how we behave in this world. And these are memes. This is mimetics at its core. This is how it functions to either grow or stagnate our consciousness. Think of the variability in these things. Like when you could get 1,000 different people to talk about genetics far more specifically and persuasively than I will. But one thing about genetics is the nuances of it. What nuances allow a gene to thrive in an environment that previous genes have created. That is exactly how the replicator memes reflects itself in genetics. They are nuanced in such a way that my mimetics, how is it structured in such a way to survive in an environment created by prior mimetics? What does honor mean to me versus you? What does honor mean to you? What does honor mean to a 4-star general? What does honor mean to somebody starving in Ethiopia? The nuance of the mimetics of honor are vast. Since I understand that, I need to design a code that allows me to do this work without falling into the mimetic traps that we have built. If my consciousness is an organic process that is ongoing throughout my lifespan, one of the choices I cannot control. I can control how I view honor and in what way I utilize honor to do this work. One of the choices I cannot control is that my organic process is both contingent on and encased within a physical body that resides on this planet. I have no control over that. Whether it's the fact that I'm a white male, whether it's the fact that I have blue eyes, whether it's the fact that I am yay tall, whether it's the fact that I am healthy, not healthy, I don't have a choice in where this consciousness resides, i.e., this physical body in this part of this planet. That's beyond my control until it's not. Because I can have the health of my body is affected by the choices I make. I could drink less Mountain Dew, smoke not at all, do a bit more stretching, and be a lot more healthy. These choices I can do, but I cannot remove my consciousness from this body on this planet, beyond my control. If I am right, and consciousness is an organic process that we have no control in stopping, then all we can do is shape it or stunt it in ways that are designed for our ideals to become real. If I want to make a lot of money, what I need to do is design the mimetics I share with you to foster that kind of environment. When I talk about our consciousness being mimetically driven, in other words, our society, our habits drives me. I am not using it as fuel. I am allowing it to control the outcome and control the choices I have. There are certain commonalities amongst all consciousness, in this location anyway, that allows you to break these things down into sort of categories. Things like money, advantage, deserve, fear, security, insecurity. If the mimetics of my life, that my organic consciousness, the organic process is exposed to, means that I have to combine mimetic thoughts like money, deserve, or insecurity together, I get a different nuance to the idea of what success is than somebody else does. When you break these things down into individual mimetic processes, see, I'm trying not to get too technical here, and it's not easy to do. When you understand that you have this choice to be mimetically driven or mimetically fueled, you can understand these categories and understand the vulnerability of consciousness, which is being mimetically driven, or what I call mental tail chasing. If the mimetics of money and the mimetics of advantage are in my consciousness, constantly chasing themselves around when it comes to bills, survivability, food, what our kids need for school, how will we pay for college, what happens if an emergency comes up, all of these things affect the organic process that is ongoing in me. If then that mental tail chasing can be recognized as a vulnerability to consciousness itself, then that vulnerability should become more profound and more recognizable as the options for tails that we want to chase increase and become more noticeable, which is what is happening in our society now. When we talk about how the algorithm works when you go into YouTube holes, which may be how you found me, when we talk about the tail chasing that leads to our political environment right now, and we recognize that mental tail chasing as a vulnerability, it becomes more recognizable as the diversity and just our ability to communicate increases, which is what I think makes this discovery kind of obvious in hindsight. If we repeat memes that have to do with security or insecurity and our physical bodies, in which we have no choice, that's where our consciousness resides, then we get things like, when you're tail chasing, you get things like body positivity as the only cure for health. You get things like people who will wreck their entire existence, will stagnate their consciousness over large periods of time, such as I did, because of insecurities in how they've interacted with this world or how they've been received by this world. If this is a recognizable vulnerability, then we have a clear task that we can set to accomplish. If the goal is to create an environment where the growth of consciousness is not forced, is not driven, is allowed to proceed comfortably without having to be in survival mode, that is the goal. To do that on as large a scale as possible, so that we can find those unique consciousness, whatever, that exist in this world or can be created in this world that we cannot predict. Nobody sat with a calculator somewhere and predicted what my consciousness would produce for mankind. Nobody, including me, can predict what another unique individual consciousness out there can produce that will either enhance, affect, or destroy my life's work. I can't predict that because I don't know exactly what that looks like. I know how to create that. I know how to build the environment that fosters that, but I don't know what the end result will look like. None of us do yet. The friend that started this thought process leading to this video is in a place where they are chasing their tails. They're mentally chasing their tail so much that they are allowing themselves to drive themselves mad. And it results in stress, in weight, in just being disheartened, defeated before we even start. And that is the cause, that is the results, the natural results of not allowing yourself to direct the direction you want yourself to go in. It's being driven forward by the things that are around you and not using the things that are around you to drive yourself forward. And it's not unique to her. It's not unique to me. It's not unique to anybody that I know, because it is an obvious vulnerability that I am pointing out to you right now. It is in a lot of us, in increasingly bigger portions of our lives. If I want to fulfill my end game goals, this is where I have to start. I have to describe this. I have to make it understandable, because I need people to build towards the goals I'd like to achieve. That is why I work on consciousness. What do I hope for? Let's say somehow some miracle happens and I reach people and help them. Why bother doing that? What is it I want to get out of that work? If I want money, then what I should want is, or the thing that works to solve that problem in our society, is to make it something where I am persuading you. You agree with me. You take what I do and you just like that. And then a lot of people like that. And it, maybe it has a positive effect. Maybe. But if my goal is to actually help, what I need to do is help somebody. Help them in such a way that they understand how this process works. Because in their lifetimes, as their consciousness continues to organically grow, they will help somebody else. Because my desire to help them, hopefully, will propagate itself out through what I help change in them. That is real organic change. I don't need to be popular or liked or influential for that process to take effect. And if that is the only way to do it honorably, then so be it. Because I have made a choice. I understand how I work, how we work. I have made that choice. So my actions should reflect that. And if it means I have to explain this again in some other way later on, then I will do that. I will do that until I help. And now I'm going to go ahead and make the video I really want to make, because you ever get that, I don't know, if you understand how focus and flow and meditation work, when you get a hold of a beautiful idea, you just want to expand on it and let it, and play with it, let it grow, see where it goes. I think that's what happens in discovery. Like, when I talk about how Richard Dawkins is the discoverer of mimetics, I understand that discovery is a weird process. Once a thing is discovered, you have to figure out how to explain that thing. And all of the mimetics that were active in Richard Dawkins' life prior to his discovery were reflected in how he explained his discovery. I think that is how it became. Originally, when it was discovered and discussed, it was this thing that made God irrelevant. And since most of my life I have tried to talk to people about mimetics, because it's been around since the year I was born, and it's been a heavy influence on my thinking. Most of the times when I tried to explain it, people either just stopped listening or really tried because they wanted to understand me, but it's a subject that is not easy to understand, especially when it's a dipshit trying to explain it. It's been frustrating. But now that there is understanding, it is up to me to describe the discovery. So I understand why that beautiful thing I want to discuss is just, I don't know, maybe that should be considered more the icing on the cake or something like that. This is the work, and that is just a beautiful result of the work. I don't know. But I'm going to go make that video now while this uploads. Thank you. Have a good day.